Hello, this is Quang from Quang Radio and Television, and welcome back to QRT News with the following headlines. Quang's heritages withstand natural disaster. Proactively evacuate people from places which are at risk of landslide. MOU between border troops of Saigon Province, Laos and 3 contiguous provinces of Vietnam. At the beginning of this week, Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Đinh Văn Thu, had a meeting with the Standing Committee of Natural Disaster Prevention, Search and Rescue for the Situation Report and taking initiative in implementing the responsive plan to long-lasting rain and flood from November 23 to 27. Due to the effect of cold air, the raining situation in Quang has been from the moderate, scattered, heavy to very heavy level, with average rainfall of 218 mm. Bắc Trà My District has directed the evacuation of about 521 households from 12 communes which are at risk of landslide to safe places. For hydropower reservoirs, the Provincial Steering Committee of Natural Disasters Prevention, Search and Rescue required the owners of Sông Trân 2, Đắc My 4, A Vương and Sông Bung 4 hydropower plants to set back the flood reception water level. Chairman Đinh Văn Thu stressed that from now until early December, the weather is going to be very complicated. Therefore, local authorities need to focus on these activities, regularly monitoring the weather conditions, planning the responsive approaches, mobilizing and arranging forces and equipment on the roads which are at risk of landslide to ensure thorough traffic, at the same time strengthening the information and warning about the weather conditions, especially raising the awareness of people for their better response to rain and flood. Continuous raining and flooding recently have made ancient architectural monuments in Hội An and Mỹ Sơn seriously degraded. It's been 18 years since Hội An and Mỹ Sơn were recognized as World Cultural Heritages. The government and local authorities have implemented many solutions for restoration and embellishment. However, the aging over time seems to be more and more severe. Mỹ Sơn Sanctuary was built centuries ago. According to history, there are more than 70 magnificent temples and towers marking the impress of Champa civilization. After a long time being in the area of high humidity and heavy rain, these architectures are being increasingly degraded. This fact creates great pressure for the preservation and restoration of historical monuments. Many projects from both home and abroad have been invested to help Mỹ Sơn stand against the challenges of time. There is a renovation project which is being carried out by Indian experts at the Group H of towers, but it is pausing due to the rainy season. Towers of Group A1, B, C, and D were restored by the Polish experts in the 1980s and 1990s, so the situation is fine. However, endangered areas such as A2, E, and F are in ruins. If not timely saved, it is very difficult to preserve. Under the pressure of both nature and visitors, we have some solutions within our ability and power. For example, to reduce humidity, we clear the wheat for ventilation. Or in the forest, we replenish the trees so that they can shield the relics from the eolation of strong winds. We also have protecting measures on flooding days. Currently, the restoration of Mỹ Sơn relic site is difficult due to the weather. At many tower groups, wind and rain have eroded and packed deep into the brick wall, followed by moss and wild plants growing unkemptly and covering the temples. Meanwhile, the ancient town of Hội An, after 18 years becoming World Cultural Heritage, is also heavily degraded. In recent years, Hội An has suffered the consequences of coastal erosion from sea level rising, waterlogging status, as well as human service activities in the city. Urban areas are also affected by rapid urbanization, population growth, or disorder displaying of goods that causes the bad impact on the integrity and legacy of the heritage. According to Mr. Nguyễn Chí Trung, director of the Hoi An Heritage Conservation Center, the conservation and promotion of heritage values always pose challenges of harmonizing between conservation and development. The preservation need to care about both the intactness of the heritage and the demand of the residents. On November 23rd, Ministry of Foreign Affairs coordinated with Guangnam People's Committee to hold a training class on updated foreign affairs knowledge for over 100 leaders and officials who are in charge of foreign affairs at the provinces, departments, and localities. There are many foreign affairs topics such as world's happenings and external relations policy of Vietnam for the year of APEC 2017, East and West Economic Corridor or Cooperation Forum in the International Integration Strategy of Vietnam and ASEAN, the role of enterprises and other noteworthy contents. This training class provided a number of practical, updated, and systematized knowledge, giving officials an overview of the external relations situation and the trend of international cooperation, contributing to improve the efficiency of foreign affairs management in the context that the Central Region is promoting investment attraction and foreign economic activities. The delegations of Military Command of Saigon Province, Laos, and the border guards of Quang Nam, Kon Tum, and Thừa Thiên Huế provinces of Vietnam had a meeting in Tam Kỳ City, Quang Nam Province. The security and sovereignty situation in the borderline of Saigon Province and Quang Nam, Kon Tum, Thừa Thiên Huế have been well maintained at a stable level. The border guard forces have operated bilateral patrols and cooperated closely in the fight against crime and cross-border intrusion. With the spirit of solidarity and friendship, two sides agreed on a cooperative memo of understanding for the year 2018, focusing on these main contents: maintaining bilateral patrolling, consulting local authorities on the agreement of solving spontaneous migration and illegal marriage in the border area between Vietnam and Laos, exchanging information dealing with territorial sovereignty and security incidents, and supporting each other in cases of natural disasters. Provincial People's Committee has just made a revision on the implementation of events and activities taking place in Quang Nam within the framework of APEC 2017. Despite the unfavorable weather during the week of APEC 2017, Quang Nam has overcome many difficulties and successfully organized many events such as the visits of APEC head of economies, husbands and wives, bilateral talks between Prime Minister of Vietnam and Prime Minister of Japan, the opening ceremony of the Vietnam-Japan Cultural Space, and the Voices of the Future Forum (VOF). These activities have brought a deep impression to the delegations, contributing to introduce and promote the image of people and culture of Quang Nam on the international forum. Provincial People's Committee Vice Chairman Lê Văn Thân highly appreciated the active collaboration of all levels, sectors, and localities in successfully organizing these events. Morning of November 24th, the Provincial People's Committee held a maneuver on emergency response to radiation and nuclear incidents in Quang Nam for the year of 2017. The hypothetical scenario is that at the ABC scrap collection facility, an employee discovered a strange metal cylinder object and opened it. There is a stainless steel bar and a little powder inside. By professional measures, the task force identified that the level of radiation is extremely high and reported this to the Provincial Steering Committee for Radiation and Nuclear Accidents Response. The steering committee turned up at the scene, mobilizing other forces such as Department of Science and Technology, Provincial Police, Provincial Military Command, Department of Health, etc. to get involved in troubleshooting. Safety belt was established and radioactive source was isolated to prevent radiating. At the same time, radioactive contaminated materials were collected. After more than an hour, the rehearsal happened safely as planned. We now come to the end of this week's news. You can rewatch the bulletin on the website qrt.vn. Thank you for joining us and goodbye for now.